one of their best-known products. There's normally a three-man tank, driver, gunner and the commander, who also did the spare job of loader. But this particular model is slightly later in that it's fitted with a 57mm gun. One of the big problems you'll find with guns as they get bigger, so does the ammunition, which means it takes up more room in the turret. They're Panzer divisions, and they came up with this design in about 1936. The great thing about it was that it was very expandable, very improvable. I'll give you an example of that. When the Panzer III first appeared, the armour on it was just 15mm thick. It's not much more than half an inch. And the gun was a 37mm weapon. By the time the Panzer III was coming to the end of its main service career, and this one is a 1942 model, the armour has gone up to 50mm thick. That's 3 times the original thickness. And the gun has increased from 37 to 50mm and become a good deal longer. What this means is that as the war progressed, and as tanks got bigger and more powerful, so the gun and the armour improved to keep pace with it. There are not many countries that can do that. Like all German tanks of the Second World War, it is powered by a petrol engine, in this case a Maybach V12. Everyone seems to think they were diesel powered. The German tanks were not diesel powered. They used petrol because for the type of warfare they had in mind, that was eminently suitable. Alongside the 37mm gun is a coaxial machine gun. There's another machine gun in the front of the hull, and a third one mounted on top of the turret. That Panzer III was actually captured by the British Army at the Battle of Alenhalfa in August 1942. The vehicle following it looks at first sight to be a sort of motorcycle. It's certainly got front forks like a motorcycle, but it's basically a small tracked vehicle powered by a BMW or NSU-3 engine, and they were used initially by the parachute forces of the German the Luftwaffe, in fact, in those days. The vehicle was restored for us by the Lanes Group, and it was a real labour of love because, like many of these German vehicles, the actual workmanship in it is immaculate. Whether that's wise on a vehicle you're sending out to war is another matter. The tank behind it is a light tank M3A1. It's an American vehicle, but this one's in the colours of the British 7th Armoured Division, the old Desert Rats, because we use tanks like this under the name of Stuart. It's armed with a 37mm gun powered by an air-cooled engine and has a rough but very simple suspension system. They were fast, but most important of all, as far as the British were concerned, very reliable, something you couldn't always say about some of our British tanks. Now, we've got 2 vehicles coming in the arena at present, which are very useful in a way because they demonstrate the difference between a tank and a self-propelled gun. It's not always obvious. They're both tracked vehicles, they're both fitted with guns, but the difference is that in the leading vehicle, which is an Su-100 Soviet self-propelled gun, the main weapon, a 100mm gun, is mounted in the front of the hull. It gives the vehicle a lower profile, but it can only really shoot the way the vehicle's pointed. The dark green tank is a T-34-85. It uses the same chassis as the Su-100, powered by the same diesel engine, a V12 diesel. But that 85mm gun is in a fully rotating turret, so it can shoot in any direction, though preferably having to stop to do so. Both vehicles are representative of Soviet types at the very end of the war, but the Su-100 is in the colours of the Egyptian armed forces because it was actually captured by the Paras in Suez in 1956, so that vehicle has a genuine history. T-34 lasted well after the Second World War, mainly because they were available in huge numbers. The Russians built nearly 70,000 of them.